Faith and reason. Two words that seem at odds. Two forces that many believe must fight. But the Stoics showed us something different. They taught faith and reason can be allies. They taught faith is not blind. And reason is not cold. Faith is the trust in what you cannot see. Reason is the tool to understand what you can. Together they form a discipline. A way to live with clarity and courage. Stoicism is not just a philosophy. It is a spiritual discipline. A daily practice of balancing what is known and what is believed. The Stoics believed the universe is ordered. That there is a reason behind chaos. That everything has a purpose. Even suffering. But they also understood limits. The limits of human knowledge. The mystery beyond human grasp. Faith fills that space. Reason guides the path. Faith without reason is superstition. Reason without faith is emptiness. Stoicism asks you to believe in the logos. The rational order of the cosmos. A divine reason that governs all. This faith gives you confidence. In the face of uncertainty. In the face of loss. In the face of fear. Reason gives you tools. To act wisely. To choose virtue. To control what you can. Together they help you live well. Not by ignoring pain. But by understanding it. Not by denying death. But by accepting it. Faith and reason work like two hands. One reaches out to the divine. The other holds steady on the ground. They keep you balanced. They keep you steady. The Stoics practiced this discipline every day. They started with reason. Examining their thoughts. Testing their beliefs. Questioning their fears. Then they moved to faith. Trusting the universe's order. Trusting that their struggles had meaning. Trusting that their virtue mattered. This spiritual discipline is not about certainty. It is about trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the process. Trust in something greater. It is about humility. Knowing what you can control. And what you cannot. It is about peace. Finding calm in the chaos. By leaning on both faith and reason. When faced with hardship. The Stoic does not panic. Because faith says this moment is part of the whole. Reason says how best to respond. When confronted with injustice. Faith says the universe is just in the long run. Reason says act with justice now. When overwhelmed by doubt. Faith says believe in the unseen order. Reason says seek knowledge where you can. This is the power of Stoicism as a spiritual discipline. It unites heart and mind. It connects the mortal and the divine. You become both student and believer. Both thinker and doer. Faith gives you the courage to face what cannot be explained. Reason gives you the wisdom to live well despite uncertainty. You learn to accept. To endure. To grow. Because life is complex. Full of mystery and clarity. Chaos and order. Faith and reason guide you through. They remind you you are part of a larger story. A story that makes sense even when it feels like it does not. This discipline asks for daily practice. Not perfection. Not blind obedience. But steady effort. Each morning you prepare your mind. Each evening you reflect on your actions. You challenge your fears. You question your doubts. You renew your trust. This is how you build strength. Not just physical. Not just mental. But spiritual. You learn to stand firm. Even when the ground shakes beneath you. Stoicism does not reject religion. It embraces the sacred. It calls you to live as if your life matters. As if the universe watches. As if your virtue echoes in eternity. Faith and reason become a light. In the darkest times. A shield against despair. A guide to meaning. You begin to see hardship differently. Not as punishment. But as teacher. Not as curse. But as call. Your reason helps you analyze the situation. Your faith helps you accept what you cannot change. Together they create peace. In a world that often feels chaotic. You do not have all the answers. And that is okay. Faith says you don't need them all. Reason says use what you have wisely. This is Stoicism as spiritual discipline. A way to live with both doubt and devotion. With both logic and love. It is a path of balance. Not extremes. Of harmony. Not conflict. The Stoics believed the soul is strengthened by this balance. That it becomes resilient. That it grows wise. You train your mind to think clearly. Your heart to trust deeply. You become less afraid of death. Less shaken by loss. Less distracted by fear. Because you know. You are part of the whole. You are held by something greater than yourself. Faith and reason together. Make you whole. They make you strong. They make you free. Faith and reason are not always easy to balance. One pulls you toward mystery. The other pushes you toward clarity. Sometimes faith feels fragile. A quiet hope in the dark. Sometimes reason feels cold. A sharp edge in the light. But the Stoics teach us both are necessary. Without faith, reason becomes hollow. Without reason, faith can become blind. Together they form a foundation. Strong enough to stand on. Even when everything else shakes. This foundation supports your soul. When storms rage. When doubt creeps in. When fear threatens to paralyze. Faith helps you believe in what you cannot prove. It whispers, there is order. There is purpose. There is meaning beyond this moment. Reason helps you act in the moment. It guides your decisions. It helps you distinguish what is within your control. What is not. This is the core of Stoic wisdom. Focus on what you can control. Accept what you cannot. Do so with courage and grace. Faith softens the edges of acceptance. Reason sharpens your focus on action. You train this discipline like a muscle. Daily. Moment by moment. When you wake. Begin with reason. Review your intentions. Set your mind on what matters. Decide how you will face the day. Throughout the day. Let faith remind you that your efforts have value, even if the results are unseen. In suffering, faith gives you endurance. Reason helps you respond wisely. When you face loss, faith offers comfort. Reason helps you rebuild. Faith is not a shortcut. It is not avoidance of reality. It is a deep trust. A surrender to the flow of life. Without losing your will to act. Reason is your compass. Faith is your anchor. They keep you grounded and free. Rooted and soaring. This spiritual discipline also teaches humility. You learn to say, I do not know. I cannot control everything. I am part of something larger. This humility is strength, not weakness. It frees you from arrogance, from the burden of needing all answers, from the trap of expecting perfection. Faith and reason together teach patience. The patience to endure hardship without losing hope. The patience to wait for the right moment to act. The patience to trust that growth is happening, even when you cannot see it. This patience transforms suffering into wisdom, chaos into clarity, fear into faith. The Stoics believed the universe is a living being, a rational whole. They called it the cosmos. They believed you are a piece of this whole. Faith in this truth connects you to others, to nature, to the divine. It reminds you your actions ripple beyond yourself, that your virtue affects the whole. Reason helps you act in harmony with this truth. To live justly, to love wisely, to serve humbly. This balance of faith and reason is a path to freedom. Freedom from fear. Freedom from despair. Freedom from the false promises of control. You learn to live fully in uncertainty. To embrace mystery without losing sight of reality. This is how Stoicism becomes a spiritual discipline. Not a set of rules, but a daily practice. A commitment to growth. A way to cultivate a soul that is both strong and open. As you walk this path, you become more resilient, more compassionate, more wise. You stop fighting what you cannot change. You stop chasing what you cannot have. You stop fearing what is beyond your control. Instead, you focus on what you can build, what you can nurture, what you can give. Faith and reason together make you whole. They prepare you for whatever comes. They teach you to face life, not with resignation, but with courage. Not with despair, but with hope. This discipline asks for your presence, your effort, your honesty. It is not always easy. It demands humility. It demands patience. It demands faith. But the reward is freedom. A freedom that no external event can take away. A freedom rooted in understanding, in trust, in virtue. You become a beacon, a light, a steady force in a shifting world. And that is the power of Stoicism as a spiritual discipline.